Hey guys, it's Mihika, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through a few simple, inexpensive, fun, and indie inspired DIYs that will totally transform your room. So, we've got a long video ahead of us, so let's just get started. So, for the first one, I totally recommend you to go on Pinterest and look for some inspiration. Of course, if you love art and are really used to thinking of new ideas, you don't really have to do it. And here you can just see the materials that I used. So first, you are just gonna, go at it, use a scissor and scratch the disc a little, and then get some tape, which eventually you're gonna use to sort of wax the CD. That's how you do it. So just make sure you use the sticky side all the time, otherwise it's just not gonna come off. Oh, she's going at it. Oh, and that is the final one. It looks so good. So here I'm just doing my first design. I decided to get inspired by a vinyl disc, and it looks really nice because it's so cute and so small, because actual vinyl discs are so huge. And then here's my second design. I just decided to play with some stripes. Also, if you guys want to see all of these DIYs in action, you're gonna have to wait till next week, because I'm gonna be having a room tour video coming up, and I'm really excited for you guys to see how all these DIYs can actually be used and put together in your room. So here's another design. There's just some blue flames. I use acrylic paint for this, by the way. Just make sure you use thick paint, because it looks a little watery if you mix any water in it at all, so just be aware of that. So here are the leaves that I use for this. I bought these off of Shopee. Of course, if you're living somewhere else, you can just go and buy them off Amazon, but I think they'll be more expensive. I also went and bought these command hooks from Challenger here in Singapore. I'm pretty sure you can get them in any store, really. And now this is me just trying to put them up. I don't know what just happened there. Please enjoy this beautiful time lapse of me struggling. So make sure to align your hooks properly, otherwise it'll look really wobbly and not well curated. So this is the same thing, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make sure that they're all in the same line. So this DIY is one of my favorites. So I just printed some butterflies. I made sure to print them on both sides of the paper. Also, keep in mind what type of paper you use. Make sure it's a little thick. Don't go for something that's like 80 GSM. I would recommend 120 GSM after. And if they aren't really aligned properly, you know, back and front, it's fine, doesn't matter so much because they're after all gonna be up on the ceiling. If you have low ceilings, maybe it'll make a problem, but I don't think so. You don't have to be too strict about it. So here, as you can see, I'm just making some holes to put the string through them, and this was really difficult. You need to have some patience for it. You can of course use the needle, but I didn't want to because then I'd have to waste double the amount of thread, and then yeah, I just thought it was better if I do it this way. So just make sure you tie a knot very tightly, maybe go for a double knot, and you can always cut the excess thread off later. That looks so cute. So now we're going to be making a cow bird, which is basically just a cupboard that I turned into a cow. I definitely saw this on Pinterest and it's definitely indie inspired. I just want to say that there's nothing wrong in, you know, taking from other aesthetics. Maybe you're not belonging to the indie aesthetic, but there's nothing wrong with you. There's no point in gatekeeping aesthetics, right? It's after all just a way of seeing beauty. So what you're going to do is take some black paper, use a pencil, and just start drawing some shapes which are really organic and are basically the patches, the black patches that you see on cows. You might need a lot of black paper for this, so make sure you have a whole packet at hand. So here you have a close-up to just see how I'm doing the shapes. Don't sweat it too much. Honestly, it's not that hard. You don't need to have like a stencil and stuff, because I've seen some YouTube videos where they provide stencils, or they're just like, oh, okay, make one shape and then repeat it all the time. Just do it freely, you know, do whatever you want. Then of course you're gonna get cutting. One thing I want to say is you can always cut outside the lines, because that's just going to help you save more paper, because essentially all that paper you're not going to use is just going to go in the waste. So that's why you can see here when I'm cutting everything, you can still see the lines. Then I just stuck them up on the cupboard, and this is what it looks like. So this one involves you going out in nature and spending some time with nature. So what you're gonna do is just go out and get some interesting plants and stuff and collect them.
That's good.
So now that we have our plants, we're just gonna take some self-laminating film. For those of you living in Singapore, actually for anyone really, I got this from Daiso. I know that Daiso is in a lot of countries now, so you can find this there. And I just removed the film off of it, and now I'm just gonna put the plants onto this film. So you can stick the leaves and the plants and flowers however you want, Make sure you think of how you're going to be sticking this up on the wall or hanging them in front of your windows, because you could also cut them individually so that each lamination is just one flower or one leaf, or you can just stick the entire A4 onto your wall or something like that. So just make sure you keep that in mind before you start putting all the stuff onto the sticky lamination paper. So this part is really tricky, I'm not gonna lie. I struggled a bit. The main part is your air bubbles. You don't want any air bubbles going to the edges of the lamination paper. So the air bubbles should be surrounding the plant, and that's it. You should try to not have any air bubbles around the plant, like away from the plant, between other plants or anything, because then it doesn't look good. And if the air bubble reaches the edge, then your plant is eventually going to be in contact with air, and then it's just not going to stay the same. So you just have to press down a little. You can maybe use like a card or something to remove the air bubbles, but mostly after you press it down at this stage, it's a little hard to remove any air bubbles that are like in the middle. And so that's the final product. I think it looks so cool. So for our last DIY here, we have some posters and prints. I was talking during this clip, so yeah, it might look a little weird, but I just removed that voiceover. So I just collected some stuff that I had lying around in the house that had some pretty images or just some nice colors. I also went out and printed a lot of stuff. You can see my butterflies are here as well. So with the posters, you can obviously design your own or find your own. A big tip I have for you is to look for posters on Google Images. Go to tools, search for size, and go for large size, because you'll get amazing quality. And go as big as you can. I mean, I was able to find a Dua Lipa poster that was like A1 size. I unfortunately didn't print it because it's quite expensive, but yeah, you can find some amazing stuff. So that's all for this inexpensive, fun, simple, indie-inspired DIY. I actually have a lot more DIYs up my sleeve, so if there's any chance that you want a part 2, I'd be very happy to make one. Please let me know down in the comments any suggestions you have or anything you want to see. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys make any of these DIYs, please show them to me. I'll be very happy to see them. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.